What if I told you a single SQL injection can unlock an entire system? In this challenge, we'll start with some sneaky enumeration, uncover hidden virtual hosts, and break through authentication with a simple SQL injection. But that's just the beginning. After gaining access to the admin panel, we discover a local file inclusion vulnerability, which gives us access to the perfect way to grab an SSH key, and that gets us a foothold onto the server. And for the final move, we'll be escalating to root by abusing the fail to ban. If you're new here, I'm Chris Alupului, or by some Neospring, a cyber enthusiast who loves CDF challenges, researching vulnerabilities, and everything hacking. So make sure to stick around and let's get started. All right, let's go ahead and start off by actually seeing if we can connect to this machine. In this case, I'm going to ping it just to verify that we're making a good connection, that we have set up our OpenVPN correctly. We're getting back a response. In this case, yes, we are getting back a response. So I'm going to go ahead and quit it and then start our initial Nmap recon scan. And here I'm doing simply a pflag for all the 65,000 or so ports for the IP address that we got from hackthebox with a min rate of 10,000. So we can be as quick as possible on the scan, and we're really not worried about being detected by a blue teamer or DOSing the machine, since I am on a VPI VIP plus plan and it's just me on this machine. Now, if you're on a free machine and you have other people doing the same machine with you, then I would probably throttle down that min rate. So here we go. We got back in under 7 seconds. We got back 4 ports, 22 for SSH, 25 for SMTP, 53 for domain, 80 for HTTP. Now, SSH is interesting because that gives us an indication that we may be able to actually SSH into the machine going forward if we do get some type of credentials. SMTP is a mail server, so that's another interesting one. If there's something regarding some type of mail, that's SMTP. Maybe we can connect to it with Telnet and see. Don't know. The other thing is 53 domain. Now, whenever I see domain, I'm thinking DNS, and I'm thinking doing a dig to see if there's any type of misconfigurations in terms of, did they leak any subdomains or vhost that we typically wouldn't be able to find if we do like a FFUF vhost enumeration scan. And we're getting back 80 for the HTTP. That's a web app, right? So we're targeting a web app. So now that we know all that information, let's go ahead and be a little bit more specific in our scan. We want to target those 2 ports. Sorry, those 4 ports, 22, 25, 53, 80 for the IP address. We got a hackthebox with these 2 scripts and a T5 for doing just another way of doing a fast scan. Not the same as min rate 10,000, but just another way of doing a faster scan. So we're going to run that, and that's going to do its thing and speed up the video going from there. All right, there we go. So that finished around 250 seconds. So that took a lot longer than normal. But we are getting back a little bit more information. So for the SMTP, it couldn't establish the connection. I'm wondering if it lagged onto that, and that's probably the reason why. But here we go. We got back more information on the domain. ISC bind 9.1.5. Okay, DNS server, so forth and so on. So we'll probably do a dig on that, see if it's misconfigured. And then here for the main one for the 80 HTTP, we are getting back Nginx 1.14.2. That's a disclosure that we can throw in our notes. And here for a HTTP title, we're getting back another disclosure, start bootstrap theme. So that's kind of like we can fingerprint it now going forward. So, and it is on Linux. So that's awesome. The main focus of this machine looks like it is a web browser. So we will be targeting the 80, but I am interested in the SMTP and the domain. But those are kind of supplement to the 80, but let's go ahead and check those out as well. So I'm going to open up a new window, CD into hackthebox trick, and then we're going to do a telnet here for the IP address for 25, and let's see if that connects. And there we go. We were able to connect, and that's interesting because when we go back to our Nmap scan, it says it couldn't establish a connection, but we were able to establish a connection here. So I want to verify something. I want to verify if there's an admin recipient on here, and we are getting back a 550, meaning it couldn't authenticate admin. But let's see if there is, I messed that up. Let's see if there's a verify root, and that's interesting. We are getting back a 252 for that. That means that it couldn't verify root, but it did accept the message. So that might mean that there's some type of vulnerability here. Maybe we can do like some type of enumeration attack to see if there's any other users other than root. And then from there, maybe we can start doing like another attack with Hydra for SSH once we do find a user. But I'm not too hopeful on it. I'm not too sure about Telnet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to simply quit out of this and leave this window up to see, because I don't want to tunnel too badly on just this one port. There are 3 other ports that we want to take a look at, and 80 is kind of the big main one in my mind that I want to take a look at. So let's go back here, and we did that one. We did 25. We got a little bit of information out of it. Nothing really, major. It doesn't give us anything. The root might be something, I don't know, but let's take a look at domain now. So now that we have that, the other thing we want to do is, since we did that Nmap scan, let's go ahead and sudo nano etc host. And when we look at the Nmap scan, we're seeing here, we're not getting any like redirections or forwards or anything like that for a certain name. So let's go ahead, throw that IP address in, and just simply put it to trick.htb, and that's the machine name for this. So I'm going to save that, clear out of it, and now if I ping trick.htb, we're getting back the same response. So we don't have to remember the IP address anymore. We can just go back to going to the name. And it looks like the server is a little laggy, so we are getting some spikes. All right. So we did SMT. Let's go ahead and now do, for the DNS, let's do a dig. And here we'll do a dig AXFR for the trick at the IP address. And let's go ahead and send that. And we're looking for a misconfiguration. In this case, there is one. So it is leaking a bunch of information for us, and we're getting some subdomains. So first thing first, I see here root.trick.htb, and that is interesting, but that's not a surprise because going from the telnet, right, we did get a message for root. So that makes sense, putting those 2 pieces of information together with this DNS record. The other really interesting one is here we're getting for the CNAME, we're getting another subdomain here. And I do want to copy this, the pre-prod-payload.trick.htb. That's really interesting. Now that we have that, I do want to open up a new window, CD here. And what we want to do now is we want to actually correctly resolve these. So we're going to simply throw them in here. So here we go. We're going to put it in. So there is the first one. And then let's go ahead and do the second one as well. All right, from here, let's go ahead and take a look at the website. So we're going to launch Burp Suite Community Edition perfectly fine. And Burp Suite and Firefox are kind of paired hand in hand. Anything that goes through Firefox is being proxied to Burp Suite. And if I wanted to, I can intercept that with Burp Suite, take a look at the requests, make my changes that I want to, and then finally send those requests to the web app whenever I need to. And that's done through this intercept feature here. So Burp Suite is up and running. Let's go ahead and launch Firefox now. And I'm using Foxy Proxy. That's kind of like my way of forwarding the request to Burp or Kaido if you use that. But that is set up. So let's go ahead and do HTTP trick. There we go. And let's take a look at the website. So it is a coming soon website, pretty basic, pretty standard. Doesn't look like there's anything really built out. There is a notify me. Let's go ahead and test it. And it looks like, okay, it was submitted successfully, but to activate this form, sign up at this startbootstrap.com solution. And that's out of scope. So we don't want to touch that really, but that does fingerprint this whole thing. And that's like, okay, maybe they have set it up correctly, but they are saying to activate it. So the first thoughts are that's probably not going to be our attack vector if they haven't actually activated the contact form. So I think that's a dead end. So this whole site seems to be a dead end in my mind. You could probably go ahead and look through the page source and see if there's any quick wins that way. I already did that. I didn't find really anything. But going back to our scan, remember we did find these credentials. So let's go ahead and take a look at the root one first. And let's throw that in there. And I do need to put HTTP here. And it looks like it resolves back to the main website as well. Okay, so that doesn't really give us anything. Let's take a look at this one. I think that this is the route to go. Here we go. Let's throw that in there. HTTP. And there we go. We got another site and we are actually getting some type of credentials. So we can log in with a username and password. You can even go ahead and right click and look through here and see what is in the page source in terms of when. What I found here is this script for a post method run under ajax.php. So it is built on PHP and it's using the action login and it's doing a bunch of shenanigans. So that is interesting, but there isn't really anything else other than the username and password. So we can try like admin password and try it that way. And that didn't work out for us. So my first thoughts here then, if I'm not seeing anything, we can probably try root. That was the other one, right? Root password. So we may be able to do some type of enumeration attack for the password since we know there is a root. Username, possibly, maybe, I don't know. But the other thing is we can try 1 equals 1, and I'm kind of using this for 1 equals 1 SQL injection and using the limit 1. This is what I saw from Tiberius's video, right, where he says don't use just or 1 equals 1. Try to do a limit to 1. And we're going to try to see if we can bypass this authentication with this SQL injection. So I'm going to go ahead and send that. And boom, there we go. We did get access to a dashboard panel for administrators. So that's awesome. So that SQL injection worked out for us. Now from here, we're going to look to see if there's any type of quick wins or any vulnerabilities. This whole site may look a little intimidating because there are a lot. There's attendance, payroll, employee list, department list. There's just a ton of stuff. But here we go on the users, we're getting back another username. So we have now a username. All right, so we're going to go ahead and copy that and throw that into our notes. And again, that just gives us more information to maybe do some type of hydra with this username. And if we have to brute force the password, we can probably brute force it this way. The next thing that I'm noticing here is in the top here, we're seeing this, the index question mark page. So it's doing some page and it's requesting the users. So that's interesting. Maybe we could do some type of like, path traversal trick and see if that works. And it looks like that doesn't work for us. Okay. All right, I guess the next thing is probably doing here instead of like this, we could probably do a list and start doing a FFF scan to enumerate this to see if there's any type of leakage that way. But the other thing I'm noticing here is since we are in pre-prod, right, and it is payroll, maybe there are other subdomains instead of payroll. So I'm thinking maybe we do another FFF scan and see if we can fuzz this payroll to see if there's any other subdomains. All right, let's go ahead and do that now. So I'm going to jump back into my terminal and here is the FFF scan that we're doing. We're using this sec list for DNS for subdomains. And here we're targeting the trick.htb, but we're asking for the host header for fuzzing this particular thing right here. Instead of the payroll, we want to fuzz that and see, does that come up with anything? And here I'm putting a filter size for 5480 because that's kind of like what was indicating a bunch of spam. So I'm going to let that run and see if that comes back with anything. And we are getting a hit. So we are getting to the payroll is the first one. That's okay. We are on that one. But marketing is coming back as a 200 okay. So that is awesome. That gives us another attack vector. So let's go ahead and throw this into our Etsy host. So let's do a sudo nano Etsy host. And here we go. We want to throw this in the pre-prod marketing. There it is. And then we'll save and exit. And now if we go to that page, it should resolve. So let's go back into the browser and let's go ahead and do this. So that didn't work out. There it is. Okay, so now that we're back on the home, let's go ahead and change this into marketing.com and let's see what happens now. So it looks like we're not getting anything back on this domain. So I'm wondering if there's something with the index.page, and it looks like that was it. That extension there wasn't working correctly. But this is a completely different site, it looks like. Business oriented, okay. We're getting a bunch of different stuff. Template mo. All right, so that's another thing we can fingerprint. There is a contact page. There is services. Let's take a look. There are services. There is an about. So here we go. We're getting some users, getting some names that we can potentially see if we can authenticate with, Eric and Michael. Let's take a look at the contact. The contact is typically going to be our biggest attack vector. There is a map that's going to throw us for a loop in burp for some just random requests, but there is a contact form. So this looks pretty promising. Looks like this may be our attack vector. I'm not too sure. But before I actually dive into this, I do kind of want to look at this page here, right? Because we were looking at why is this here, the index.php page, and now it's referencing the contact.html page. And this goes back to what we were doing on the other one, on the payroll one. And I was thinking, oh, maybe we can access the Etsy password. So I kind of want to follow that train of thought, the same thing, since I have those commands saved on the payroll one. I might as well just run it on this one and see if that results anything before I actually attack this contact form, because that's like another whole line of attack. So let's go ahead and try this again. So we're doing what, password, Etsy password, and let's see if there's a LFI vulnerability on this or not. All right, so that's not coming back as anything. So that sucks. Maybe we need to enumerate this again with a list. I don't know. Okay, so if that's the case, then let's go ahead and copy this again. And now we're going to throw our list in here and we're going to try to enumerate this to see if this is maybe filtering us. Maybe there's a white list, there's a black list. I don't know. Let's go ahead and go back into the terminal. From here, let's go ahead and do that FFF scan. So here is the FFF scan, and I'm using this directory traversal list that I have in my documents folder for the pre-prod marketing. And here we're at the extension that we tried doing that // forward patch traversal. We're just going to simply fuzz. And here I'm filtering the size 0 out so I don't get any 0 requests. And before I run that, if you want to see what the directory traversal list looks like, this is essentially what it is. just something I found, I think, off payload lists or directory lists, or I just Googled directory list and I found the list here. So there's that. So we're going to simply run this command here, and let's take a look to see while that's going, you know, we can, oh, we're getting back something already. Okay, so this is awesome. This is promising. So we're getting back some 200s for some sizes, a bunch of different sizes. But the thing that pops up to me is here in the first one here is actually this comes back for the Etsy password. So I can go ahead and simply just copy this, or maybe we can find a better one that looks a little nicer. All right, here's a very simple one, and it looks like this is bypassing whatever that whitelist, blacklist filter is on the end. So I'm going to simply copy that and paste that in there. And there we go. So we do have LFI with this page, so the marketing site. So that's awesome. So that gave us a bunch of information here. All right, and instead of having it this way, maybe we can do a nicer, clean version of this. I could simply just copy this URL, go back here, open up a new window, cd into this, and then we'll do a curl here, and we'll curl that request, and there we go. The other thing we could do is probably pull that command back up and clear the screen, and then just simply do the grep no login false. All right, there we go. So we got back a username here, Michael. So that was Michael from the website that we were seeing in the services, or I guess the about. But he's the only one that has a home. So he has a home, Michael, and he has been bashed. So that's promising. And the thing that stands out is since he has a home, the first indication for me anyways, is maybe he has an SSH key that he's able to log into the server and manage this whole pre-prod marketing and payroll system. So I'm assuming maybe if we tried using the LFI, let's see if we can get his SSH key. So let's go ahead and try that now. All right, so here we go. So I'm curling it. I'm using the same extension, right? The pass traversal extension. But in this case, we're no longer doing that Z password. We're doing the home Michael .ssh ID RISA. So we want his ID RISA. And there we go. We were able to get access to his open SSH private key. So that is awesome. So we can simply just copy this entire thing and save this into our notes. And then we can also, in fact, go ahead and save this to our attack machine as ID RISA _RISA. And now we can go ahead and SSH into it. So if I ls here, you can see here I have an ID RISA key, and if I cat ID RISA, it's exactly the key that I have. So from here we can go ahead and SSH. We use the I flag for the ID RISA file, and we're essentially logging in as Michael on the trick.htb. So let's go ahead and do that. And there we go. We got access to the server, and that is our server foothold right there. So that is awesome. Now we can go ahead and LSLA and just see exactly what is in Michael's directory. In this case, there is the user flag. We can go ahead and cat that, throw it into the hackthebox. So let's go ahead and see if we get a sudo L. And here we go. We are getting back a sudo L. So that's awesome. So root, no password required for the Etsy init.d failed to ban. Okay. And to restart. So it looks like it's restarting the failed to ban, but I'm not sure what exactly this file is. So let's go ahead and cat it. Okay, so here is the file, and the first thing I'm noticing is an echo for the usage, and it is showing the script name. There are some options here. So start, force start, stop, restart, force reload, and status. But I think when we did the sudo L, we only have the option of restart. So we need to figure out how do we take advantage of restarting this fail to ban. And I'm assuming based on the name, it's something to do with like banning us if we tried some type of credentials. maybe through the SMTP or maybe through the SSH. But let's go ahead and read through. Okay. Parse out sock file name. So here's sock name, grepping, doing some Etsy name config stuff, or some Etsy name local. So, and that's being thrown to dev null. Okay. And what's the other thing? So here's the description: start and stop failed to ban. A Damien scanned the log files and banning potential attackers. I was right about that. It looks like it is banning potential actors. And then I'm seeing IP tables. Okay, IP tables. All right. So we need to find, so maybe in the Etsy name local. Okay, let's go at the bottom. CD into Etsy. Is there a fail to ban? There is. Okay, so this is awesome. Let's throw it to the top. What's in action D? Okay. So here are some firewall stuff, IP tables, all ports common. I'm curious about IP tables. Okay. Let's do a sudo l again. All right, so looking at this one file here, this is the file that I was looking at, the cat IP tables, because I'm assuming failed to ban. And if I try to SSH, yeah, I will probably get banned. And I'm looking at the configuration file that handles the banning. And I think it's this file in particular. And what I'm looking for is the action ban and the action unban. And here is the action ban. It's going to ban the IP address for whoever's trying to probably brute force through SSH. And the other thing I'm noticing is the action unban. So maybe there's like a reset script with unban, you know, because once you get banned, there has to be a cleanup script that takes care of it. I don't know if that's going to affect the action unban or not, but I think this might be the file that we need, because if we can reset, if we can get ourselves banned and then reset or restart this fail to ban system and trigger this config file for banning, then that's probably going to give us access to root. So let's go ahead and I'm going to clear the screen. All right, from here, let's go ahead and actually, let's go ahead and make an edit to the multiport, because I just noticed that one. I'm assuming that probably covers more than just IP tables.config. So I'm going to nano the IP tables, and let's make an edit to it. And in this case, it looks like we're getting a big red thing here at the bottom. It says it's unwrittenable. So that's probably because we're in the Etsy folder and we don't have permissions because we are not root. So what I'm thinking is maybe just simply copying the IP tables into the temp folder. So let's go ahead and do that, and then we'll CD into the temp folder as well. And there is our IP tables. So let's nano it now. Okay, and now we can actually make the changes that we need to it. I'm going to scroll all the way to the bottom, and here for action ban, I think we should do action ban. Oops. Action ban equals, oh, I want to write that right. Chmod plus s for the bin bash. That will give us access to that. And I think we can probably do the same thing for the action unban. Chmod plus s bin bash. Okay, so let's save it, and let's also chmod 644 the IP tables just in case that's going to give us an issue, and then we can ls, and the cleanup script didn't remove it yet, so there it is. Let's go ahead and now we can move it back into this file here. All right. So what I want to do is I essentially want to move the temp IP table config file here, right, from the temp folder to the file folder that I'm in right now. So the etc failed to ban here. So I'm moving it, and it's asking me to override this 644. I'm going to say yes, and I'm just going to verify that the changes that I made are reflected. So here we go, chmod plus chmod plus. So that is awesome. And from here, go ahead and go to a new window and do a Hydra or root, and I'm going to start attacking it and see if I can get banned that way. And I'm not sure, do I need to do a sudo? I'm not sure if I need to restart this, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to sudo restart this, and let's go ahead and try to restart. So I'm essentially trying to brute force with Hydra at the beginning of it, and then I'm going to restart in the service because I don't know if I need to do it before or after, but I'm essentially trying to hit both ends of it. So I started Hydra, I started the reset, and now maybe I'll get banned after the reset or maybe before the reset. I don't know, but I'm going to let that run. And once that's done, we can try to see if after the restart, it actually executed that IP table's multi-port config file, that in that file we had chmod plus s for the bin bash. So that finished. So let's go ahead and cd and then do a bash p. And it looks like that didn't work out for us. So if we lsla the bin bash, we can take a look at the privileges. So what do we need to do? Are we still hydrating? We still are. Let's go ahead and go back into that folder, and maybe we need to look at that IP tables, right? Whoops. IP tables multi config, and it's still working. Okay, so it's still there. Our file did get moved successfully. And there we go. So we got access. There is our root. And now we can actually go into root and cat the root flag. So that is cool. That was awesome. That was a fun one. That was a little tricky in my mind, but I think it was really fun. I enjoyed this box. I hope you guys enjoyed it too. If you have any questions or if you found alternative ways, feel free to throw them in the comments. And go ahead and hit that like button if you enjoyed it. Smash that subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.